Hey everyone, happy Monday off the rails sports, December 8th. Your friend Bert Beiswanger. What a weekend. So much to talk about, so much drama um, locally, nationally, the college football playoff. I think we'll start there because there's good and bad going on here. First of all, Indiana Hoosiers. Wow, what an atmosphere. What a game. Big Ten champs, number one seed. That's crazy to think about still, but awesome nonetheless. Deserve everything because they've gone out and they've earned it. And so we're excited about that. All the fans locally, regionally. It's unbelievable. What a great game too, by the way. Gone are the days where we learned this in the Oregon game a little bit, but definitely the Ohio State game. Gone are the days where IU gets pushed around up front. They're listen, they're on the line in the trenches. They were equal uh, to Ohio State. That game could have gone either way. We had missed field goals, chip shot field goals, crucial fourth down that we everyone thought Ohio State converted. That would have been first and goal on the 5. But they reviewed it. Knee was down. Did not get the first down. That flipped that script, and then the next possession, Ohio State missed like a 25-yard field goal. But nonetheless, awesome. Really, for a low scoring game, 13-10. We don't always get excited about those, but I thought it was a fantastic game that lived up to the hype, in my personal opinion. Thought it'd probably be more like 23-20 in that range, but doesn't matter. IU's number one seed. They go into the college football playoffs. I don't know that they'll be the favorite, but they will be among the favorites. And so, yeah, hats off Indiana. Kurt Signetti getting it done. All right, college football playoffs. What a mess. I am so frustrated just as a fan. And listen, I've listened to a lot of stuff out there. I've listened to national shows. I've listened to people calling in as far as journalists and just other takes. Was just listening to Dan Patrick's show a little bit. It's universal. They have got there's a lot of problems. Well, there's problems with the format and there's problems with the selection. So we'll get into both. First of all, the format. 12-team format. It should be to get the 12 best teams in the country. Now, as someone who likes the little guy and I've seen the little guy not get their due here and there in years where like UCF was 13-0, and you had an undefeated Boise State. If during those years, those teams deserve to be in the 12-team playoff, in my opinion. So right now, it's the top 5 conference champions are automatically uh, put into the tournament. All right, that's a problem because these super conferences are so big, no one plays the same schedules. So we have situations like the ACC where we didn't have the best teams in the championship game. Miami loses a tiebreaker in a 5-way tie. Duke gets in. Duke has got 5 losses. Duke gets in, wins the ACC tournament, but they're not a top 5 conference champion. They have to go down to find the top 5 conference champions. They have to go down to Tulane and James Madison. Tulane out of the American Athletic, James Madison out of the Sun Belt. Now, in a perfect world, when this thing was conceived, no one thought that 4 of the top 5 conference champions would not be the power conferences, right? The Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12. But because the ACC messed it all up and didn't have their best team, Miami, ranked 12th, in the championship game, that opened the door for a massive can of worms. And what happens? You get 2 teams in James Madison, Tulane, both in it. So instead of having 1 non-power conference team, we have 2. And to be fair, to be frank, neither of them deserve to be in the tournament this year. I think they need to forget, automatic conference champion qualifiers. I think they need to do a situation where, especially with the non-power conferences, there's got to be a floor, right? Like If a non-power conference team is ranked in the top 16, then they qualify for the tournament. Something like that. I don't know. But they're going to make changes. They made changes last year, and they're going to make changes again. But it's too late because what you've done is you've messed it up and left a team like Notre Dame out. And for all the Notre Dame haters out there, there was this whole, first of all, this whole Miami versus Notre Dame thing, whatever. Listen, anyone who watches college football knows that Notre Dame's one of the top teams in the country. They're certainly a top 10 team. Vegas going into before the selection came out yesterday, Vegas odds had Notre Dame third or fourth favorite to win the national title. I think it's the best offense in the country right now. I think it's one of the best teams in the country, and they have the best player, Jeremiah Love. They have NFL talent at receiver. They have the best backfield with Love and Price, and they're sitting at home. I'm tired of arguing this team against that team when you've got James Madison and Tulane taking the spots of all the teams that should be in the first place. That's not good for the brand. It's not good for the product. It's not good for the tournament. The tournament's watered down, and then you work your way through the field, and you've got teams like Ole Miss, ranked 6th, doesn't have a coaching staff. So this thing's a mess. The selection committee was a joke. Their criteria it changes every week. They need to get rid of the weekly show. It's absolutely stupid. Notre Dame was ranked ahead of Alabama and Miami for weeks. 2 weeks ago, Alabama, by the way, has not looked good for 5 weeks. And 2 weeks ago, Alabama went on the road and barely beat a 1-win Auburn team. I think they beat them by 10. And that was a cushion compared to what the game actually was. Based on that game, and by the way, all Notre Dame did that week was win by 40, 30. I don't know who they played. Doesn't matter. Based on that game, the committee moved Alabama above Notre Dame. That was the topic last week. Everyone's thinking, why? Why did they do this? This makes no sense. So then you fast forward to this week. Alabama gets boat raced, and I mean boat raced in their conference championship by Georgia. BYU played Texas Tech. By the way, BYU was ranked between this week, Notre Dame and Miami. All right. BYU got beat pretty good in their conference championship. What did the committee do? What did they say they did? They said, well, based on BYU getting beat pretty handily, we decided that they deserve to drop below Miami. So now it puts Miami and Notre Dame side by side. Because remember, they already safeguarded this whole thing by moving Alabama up. Alabama gets boat raced, and they're the only team that did not move. They lost their conference championship and didn't move at all. At all. So what the committee said was the Big 12 championship game was of significance, and the SEC championship game was not and didn't matter. That's what they said. So now they go back to week 1. We reevaluated the Miami Notre Dame game, and we decided that head-to-head was the tiebreaker, and so Miami is going to get in over Notre Dame. Look, I'm not going to argue against that. I will say, it's week 1. Notre Dame only lost by 3 at Miami, so honestly, that's kind of a wash to me, personally. I mean, Notre Dame played the hardest schedule out of the gate this year. But anyway, they both should be in because we should be here because of the stupidity of the ACC and just the whole format allowing for this to have 2 non-power teams that neither deserve this. Again, this is not a 13-0 UCF from years ago, not a 13-0 Boise State. And so here we are. We've got not the top 12 teams in, not even the top 11 teams in. I don't even think we have the top 10 teams in. Nationally, me personally, just watching games, Miami and Notre Dame are both better than Alabama right now. And I don't care that you can say strength of schedule, this and that and the other, and you do have to use those criteria, but Alabama is atrocious right now. Get the best teams in. That's the goal. And I would still say Notre Dame, well, everyone that I listen to thinks this, Notre Dame's better than Miami. I mean, if they played on neutral field right now, Notre Dame's the better team. Notre Dame was my third favorite to win the national title, third or fourth, at IU, Ohio State, and then Georgia, Notre Dame. But I honestly think that's a whole pot that is four equal teams, and everyone else is below that. But it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I mean, the whole process is a joke. Uh, we have a 12-team playoff and we still can't get it right. The ACC can't figure out how to send their best teams to the championship game, and so here we are. Which, by the way, ABC, ESPN owns the rights to the ACC. Once the ACC messed their thing up, they knew this was coming a couple weeks ago, so I think they put some things in place to make sure that the ACC was represented in the tournament. And again, I'm not arguing Miami over Notre Dame per se, but the way you did it doesn't make any sense. So I guess I am arguing that. All right, it's frustrating. Here's an idea. How about rank everything one through whatever like you do, and just take that top 12 teams. Problem solved. And the conference championships don't even mean anything anymore. Meant something to IU, by the way. I will say that. But that game was really no significance other than bragging rights for championship because Ohio State only dropped to two. They didn't even drop below Georgia. They dropped to two. So I don't know. But this with these super region conferences and all this crap, it's changed everything. Unbalanced schedules and stupid tiebreakers, and my God, just let's get the top 12 teams into the tournament. And again, if there's a non-power team that deserves to be in it or meets certain criteria, meets a threshold of criteria, then we'll put them in. But all right, I've said my piece on that, and actually I haven't because I'm not going to be done with this for a long time. But we're moving on. Colts. So I thought going into yesterday the Colts were going to lose in Jacksonville. They had not been trending well. We've talked about this. They were starting to leak oil, and they're in the midst of a tough stretch of games. Jacksonville was +3 yesterday, so they were the underdog. I didn't understand that at all. I think that's just uh, uh, Vegas or the betting public not quite adjusting to recency, and that is how the Colts have been performing and how Jacksonville has been performing. Nonetheless, I thought the Colts would lose. Their defense can't stop anything. They were down 14-7 when worst case scenario happens. Daniel Jones goes down. Man, it was tough to see. And poof, everything's just going away. The season, and I don't know what they're going to do next year, but we'll get to that. But that was it was tough. It was tough to watch that. Again, I thought going into this stretch, I told somebody I think the Colts might go 4-5 down the stretch, maybe 2-3. And this was one of the losses I thought they'd have. I still think they would have lost the game, but now what do? They going into the season, I thought they had a pretty good setup. I'm like, Anthony Richardson, for all his flaws, it's a good backup quarterback to have, but he's not coming back. I mean, he's massive injury to his face, broken orbital bone, and he hasn't practiced, and no, he's not coming back. So they're in trouble, and they're in trouble for a long time because Daniel Jones, hated to see him go down. That just he was having, by his standards, his best year of his career, and even though they were starting to leak some oil, as we said, and I don't know what they do moving forward now. He's going to be out for a long time. Achilles, that's not an easy thing to come back from. And now you don't have any first round draft picks for the next couple of years. So someone asked, what do you think happens with Steichen, Ballard? Who knows? Who knows? I would not make the mistake of making an excuse for, well, the season was fine. It would have been okay if Jones hadn't gotten hurt. Certainly, it doesn't help. But I think that would be fool's gold to just use the Jones injury as an excuse because, again, we saw things getting sideways a little bit. defense horrible up front. And again, this is, you made the big move, all chips in for Sauce Gardner at cornerback, but Sauce he wasn't gonna stop the run. He wasn't gonna put pressure on the quarterback. Um, excellent defensive back, but he only lasted a game and a half. These are things that happen. You can't predict. You can't say, well, Bert, how could you have predicted this injury would have happened or that injury happened? You can't. But something always happens. It always does in the NFL. We saw so many injuries yesterday. You don't know what's going to happen and when, but something usually does. So Colts are, wow. I don't know what they do moving forward, but this season is off the rails. No pun intended. And I think it was getting off the rails a little bit anyway. They were still competing though. I mean, they were still there. They were, even games they were losing close games, battling. But man, I just this was not like watching Tyrese Halliburton go down. Uh, Nowhere close to that. That was, that was Game 7, and he came out firing, and that looked like we were on our way to a championship, the Pacers. But it wasn't easy, and now I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do. There's still games to be played, so we need to let that play out. Riley Leonard likely will be the starter. I don't know who you bring in at this hour. You got to bring somebody in because we can't have one quarterback on the roster. But like I said, Anthony Richardson, while he's in the building and I think he traveled with the team, I mean, he's nowhere. He's not practicing. He's still on IR, and I don't see him coming back this year at all from that bad injury. Bad break on that one. No pun intended. But all right, listen, I've talked enough. I haven't talked enough. College football. Rank the freaking teams and get the top 12 teams in. This is and again, if you want to be inclusive to the non-power conferences because they got to have something to play for, I'm all for that. If they're a top 12 ranked team or top 16, that's a threshold that you decide that they need to be to be considered, then do it. And get rid of these. When you win the conference championship, you're automatically in. Get rid of that. Or really change the criteria on how you're going to decide who plays for your conference championships. The Big Ten, it worked out perfectly. It was cut and dry, straight and narrow. No problem there. The SEC, it wasn't that cut and dry. Alabama's been playing awful. A&M loses one game at Texas, and they don't play for the title. And then the ACC, we talked about that. All right, hey, everyone, have a good week. Get a leg up. It's Monday. Sun shines out. It's still cold. We don't like this. It's going to warm up a little bit. We like that. But off the rail sports, get a leg up. Have a good week, everybody. We'll talk soon.